What do we have here? Yeah, here I thought we were special.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hangman.
Whatever.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they gonna get to teach us?
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kosinski, AKA Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
What the hell? Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
And we're off.
Hello, welcome to this What Do You Want Spoilercast for Top Gun Maverick. I'm Ashley Hobley, and joining me in the danger zone, Dylan Blight.
Taking it to the limit.
Absolutely. Getting all the G's here.
I'm a true G.
True G. Alright, so Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to the 1986 film Top Gun, in cinemas now. We just come back from seeing advanced screenings. So yeah. Please be aware, we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about the plot themes in any of the movies, so if you haven't watched it, come back later. Of course, it's going to be playing everywhere. Everywhere. Even Tasmania. With that said, let's jump to our discussion of Top Gun Maverick, directed by Joseph Kosinski, screenplay by Ehren Kruger, Eric Warren Singer, Christopher McQuarrie, story by Peter Craig, Justin Marks, based on characters by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr., starring Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, John Hamm, Glen Powell, Lewis Pullman, Ed Harris, and Val Kilmer. After more than 30 years of service as one of the Navy's top aviators, Pete Maverick Mitchell is where he belongs, pushing the envelope as a courageous test pilot and dodging the advancement in rank that would ground him. When he finds himself training a detachment of Top Gun graduates for a specialized mission, likes of which no pilot has ever seen, Maverick encounters Lieutenant Bradley Bradshaw, callsign Rooster, the son of Maverick's late friend and radar intercept officer, Lieutenant Nick Bradshaw, aka Goose. Facing an uncertain future and confronting the ghosts of his past, Maverick is drawn into a confrontation with his own deepest fears, culminating in a mission that demands the ultimate sacrifice from those who will be chosen to fly it. Dylan, you have been declared a Top Gun hater. We did discuss our thoughts on the previous film on a spoilercast that you can find on the What Do You Watch feed. So what did you think of Top Gun Maverick?
Just to clarify, I don't hate Top Gun. I just think it's okay. It's not my cup of tea. Let me do my... What did the British say? It's not my cup of tea. Still one of my favorite Oscar interviews. Top Gun Maverick is really fucking good, eh? Top Gun Maverick is tenfold better than the original film. It improves on literally every element of the first film. It manages to carry the torch of the first film and those characters in a way that doesn't feel like a lot of legacy sequels do. It honors the characters in nice ways. It plays homages in nice ways. But still it moves forward. It has new casters, new elements. Of course, the main character is Maverick. It's literally in the title, so that's fine. And the film does focus primarily on Maverick. So my one sort of negative for the film is that nearly every other character bar Maverick gets not so much to do. I think the core cast is fun, like at times for what they are. And I don't think it's a huge negative, but it is the one negative I'll get out of the way, is that the film is Maverick, but it's the title, so that's fine. But yeah, I was a lot more engaged in the story and characters here than I was in the first one. I think I didn't cry, but I got a little bit teared up twice, I think. So that shows a lot more connection to characters, at which I didn't care really about anyone in the first film. I think it's and then on the flip side of things, the reason I wanted to watch this movie, which was the action and everything, it is a disservice if you don't go see this in the cinema. If you watch this on your TV for the first time, you are going to regret never going to the cinema to have watched this. I feel like this is the sort of movie
if you're
that
listening back to this movie.
Yeah, this is the sort. Yeah, well, it's probably not the best. I feel like I should tweet this, and that's probably maybe I will tweet that because that sort of summarizes my feelings. I feel like this is the type of this movie. If you decide to skip it and you decide you'll watch it when it comes to Netflix, and you're going to watch it on your TV, and you think you have a nice TV, it still ain't nice enough. You need to see this on literally the biggest screen you can with the loudest speakers you can, and even then, you can probably go bigger. If I see or hear anyone talk about watching this on phones, iPads, or anything like that, I'm going to pick up their object, I'm going to smash it on the fucking ground.
What if they watch it on the plane?
I'm going to fucking plummet that plane straight to the ground, right? I don't want to hear no shit about watching this on small ass, baby ass screens because you don't have time or whatever else. Guess what? Pay a fucking babysitter. I don't care. Like, I ain't got time for your fucking problems. I ain't got time for your shit, right? This movie and everything that went into making this and shooting it the way it is, you are absolutely right. You're doing this entire film injustice, and everyone that worked on it watching this on your little baby ass phone screens and fucking Ash's 50-inch fucking HD TV at home. Like, that is disgusting. That is absolutely despicable. I think this film is probably the first action movie since Mad Max Fury Road where I was like, I haven't seen something like that. Like, I actually truly felt like I was watching action scenes that I haven't seen before. Like, and that's not to say I can't watch an action movie where I'm like, that was a cool car chase, or like, that was a really cool car chase, or, you know, like, that was a cool fight. Like, but I'm like, I've seen fights. It's just, yeah, it was a really good fucking fight. And that's not the thing. But like, I remember watching Mad Max Fury Road for the first time. And it was like, I've never seen anything like this. Like, this is fucking insane. The last act of this movie, like, I'm like, I've never seen, like, no one's ever shot anything like this before because they're doing everything like legit. Like, there's just an element to it that has never been captured, on camera before. And that was literally the sole reason Tom wanted, the only reason he would come back and do it that way. And it absolutely pays off. I think that final act is a epitome of like what blockbusters should be. I was like, it was making me anxious. It was like sort of edge of seat, you know, like it is like a sort of thrilling action scene like you just don't get anymore. And even when you think like things, for a second there, I was like, oh man, this is about to come silly when they're about to, like, when they steal the plane. Then I'm like, this is about to be silly. But it didn't play. It was like a 5-minute scene and then they're back up in there. Cause for a second, I'm like, are they going to like take people out and take their guns? And I'm like, that's not what you are. They're like, you're Navy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was like, is this about to turn into fucking, some of the Tom Cruise franchise? But it's fine. That was the 1 second, the one moment I sort of wavered for a moment. I thought it was about to be into silly season. But no, this movie is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I concur. This is fantastic. I agree. It needs to be seen in cinemas with sound as loud as possible, sound that's like causing your seat to vibrate on biggest screen as possible. What they've done here is crazy. It's crazy. It's as simple as that. It is the fulfillment of the promise of the original Top Gun. It's like the filmmaking technology is finally there for them to properly pull off that story.
I feel like it's technology and everything, but also people willing to go there. You know? People willing to do it this way. Primarily Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yes.
As a producer. I know everyone likes to be like, oh, he's not the director. He was like, this film without Tom being like, I'll only come back and do it if you do it this way. Not to, like, I think it's directed really well. And obviously, what's his face, the director, Joseph, whatever his name is, like, deserves all credit. But there's like an element of people like Tom being the ones that like, we need to do it this way. That's the reason the film gets here. And as well as technology.
Obviously, Joseph Kosinski has worked with Tom Cruise before and knows. Yeah. So, and then you've also got Chris McQuarrie working on the script as well. So, I mean, I'm sure Tom Cruise has a lot of fingerprints all over this. Yeah, I think it's much more of an action film than the first one, whereas that was kind of like a romance movie with an action elements thrown in. This one is definitely action movie first.
Because you don't have the finale that this one gives you in the first movie.
It's not as satisfying. The big difference is they've got a clear goal in this. Yeah. Whereas in the first one, it's like they're going to flight school for a year. You know, let's see what shenanigans happen. This one has like they've got this clear mission, this crazy mission that they need to pull off, like an absurdly crazy mission.
And it makes the training exercise for a viewer. You understand what they're practicing and trying to achieve a lot more compared to the first film, where they're just like flying around. You hear people like winning and losing, but you don't. We discussed it in the Spoilercast. Like we didn't understand how people were winning or losing, like what was even going on. Whereas here, I knew a lot more because with the intercuts of the the fake radar picture for the track they would have to take, and you could visualize what they were practicing. And even when Tom Cruise was taking them all out, you can clearly understand that he was just outmaneuvering every single one of them and shooting them. So, like,
yeah, I think that's an interesting element of it, that he'd like dogfighting is just like a thing that doesn't happen anymore and hasn't happened for several years.
In fact, the film states he was the last person to have a dogfight.
Yeah,
which is
and
funny.
we have a bunch.
Like, yeah.
I think Tom Cruise is fantastic. He's like very charming, and like he's constantly giving that look, even when he's not trying to. I think
it's the only look he has.
Only look he has. One. I don't know whether that's a jab at his acting career or I think it's an interesting arc of him, still wrestling with the demons from Top Gun. And kind of being this relic of the past who's like trying to hold on to his way of life as long as possible. I love the opening of this film with him being a test pilot. This crazy
Space
Blackbird space, like Mark 10 plane thing. Trying to get Mark 10 to help with their funding, make sure they all keep their jobs or whatever.
The funniest thing is about that scene too is there's that one shot of like the plane when he's at like 9.5 or something, like a big wide one where you can see the trail or whatever you call that.
Yes,
like
so
as he's doing a U-turn, and it's like beautiful. Obviously CGI, like this beautiful sort of CGI shot, because I presume they're not actually flying a plane that fast. Because
I assume Tom Cruise is not flying a plane. Mark 10. Yeah,
it's like, but then I was thinking in retrospect, I'm like, this film has such like it starts the film with this fantastic CGI shot and like everything like that, and it's beautiful. And then the last act of the movie is like
close-ups,
primarily real shit, like with effects and everything. But like it's funny how it has both.
Yeah, but he has to go over the limit. That's just Maverick. It's like he could have stopped when it got to Mark 10, but he had to keep going, and then he blew up that plane. This
film's quite funny too. Like
it is also quite funny, yeah.
It's a lot funnier than the first one, and in general for blockbusters,
more intentionally funny.
Yeah, yes, and in a world where we talk about like Marvel films, like not getting humor right, or even DC or like Star Wars films, like these other big blockbuster franchises, like the film's humor undermining the action stuff. I feel like all the humor in this is like spot on, even to the point like when him and what's Marcel's character's call sign? Rooster. Him and Rooster like land, and Tom Cruise like pushes him over.
Yeah.
And it's like this really intense thing after the helicopter and all that. And he's like, "What were you thinking? Told me not to think." Like it's funny and it works. And then it cuts to literally that scene of the binoculars, like him being like, "No." Like I think all the humor was like spot on. I think it worked really well.
Even just
like my cinema was like nearly full. I'd say like 9/10 probably. There was a few empty seats, but it was like all the laughs hit. Like everyone, especially there was a girl behind me who was a very loud laugher, and she found a lot quiet. All the jokes hit her for sure. Like
yeah, all the setting expectations, and
in fact, her favorite joke, I think, if I was thinking about the loudest she got, was him walking in to that bar at the start of the movie, and when that kid goes, "Earth," and she lost it. So,
I mean, it's fair. You brought up Miles Teller. What do we think of Miles as the son of Goose? I read somewhere someone thought it was a bit too on the nose that he looks too much like Goose in this movie.
No, I don't think I think that's a bad criticism.
I mean, the first shot of him is in a Hawaiian shirt, and
yeah,
he's obviously got the mustache and similarish hair.
Yeah.
So
I think he's really good in this. I think I sort of expected him to be a lot. I didn't expect much of him because I couldn't picture Miles Teller in this sort of role. Again, I feel like he doesn't get as much as maybe he could have used a little bit more to like build on him. But it just like the film is primarily, well, it is all just from Maverick's point of view. So you never like see him by himself, like never get to hear him mulling over or like stressing over the night he's had like when Maverick shows up or anything. So I understand to a degree it's all from Maverick's point of view. But for what we do get from him, I think he does a good job of portraying that initial sort of, well, the first time you see him in the bar, you get to see that element of Goose in him. Especially you can see his his father's son. And then from there, you get to see him be this pilot who's like sort of doubtful of himself and everything like that, and the friction, and then I think the best thing about it is that you do buy into their relationship by the end. That it means like by the time they're nearly about to die, like I remember like I was like, oh shit, like they're fucked, like, and then when the plane's going up and they got no more flares left. Yeah, no. Right then when they're out of flares, and then Hangman comes in and saves them at the last.
Yeah, they couldn't get the ejector seat open there.
Yeah, an ejector seat out. I was like, oh shit! Like I was like, but the fact you like,
they already did the fake out once.
I know, and I was still like, fuck! Like he's really going to make him go for all that just to have him die, right? I was in, but yeah, I feel like I definitely brought into their relationship, and that's because he does a good job at portraying. The two of them do a good job playing off one another.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the growth over the course of the film was a joy to watch. Martell is great. Martell having a bit of a resurgence, with this and The Offer. He had a bit of a bad rap a few years ago, but really enjoying him and stuff lately. I think something we discussed on the Spoilercast, and I'm really glad it didn't work out that way, was why they were upset with each other. Turns out that Maverick took his papers out, so he couldn't join the Naval Academy.
Because the trailers made it sound like he was upset about his father's death. And I was saying like that doesn't make sense because his mum would have said no, like would have told him that's not a thing. So I liked the reason that he's actually upset, and I liked especially. There was a degree of like when you first hear it, you're like, why would he do that? Like maybe he's just trying to protect him. But even then, I'm like, that's a bit like maybe that's a bit much. And then you have that reveal with Jennifer Connelly, Penny, right? Yeah, in the bed there where he says that it was because it was a promise he made to his mum on her deathbed, and then when she asks why didn't tell her, and hates whatever he says about it, he hates me. Why make it worse for her? Like I feel like that made everything make sense. Like you got it at that point.
Yeah, it all makes sense. And, they came together, and then they're on the aircraft character, and they're like, "We'll talk later." It's like, oh,
I was like, from that moment when he was on that, as soon as they got on the ship, I was like, Tom Cruise is dying, Maverick's dying. And then, especially when they said that line, "We'll talk later," I'm like, no, you won't, because you're gonna die. And then. Yeah, when he came in and saved him, I'm like, knew it. Knew he was gonna fucking die. Like,
we were at Jennifer Connelly. How do we feel about the romance in this? I think it's not as heavy-handed as the first one. It's like kind of subtly told. I think Jennifer Connelly does a great job with what she's given. I appreciate that they clearly have history, and she's very slow to let him in, but I thought it was a solid love story for a movie that's primarily an action movie.
I think Jennifer Connelly has a great presence in the film. She's like much like the first film. She's the love interest that quite often like brightens up the scene and everything like that. A very lively character. I liked that the choice was. We will get someone that's closer to Tom Cruise's age and not like bring in a new romance that he romances and meets in this film. Instead, it is someone who is more his age, already has a daughter, is someone from his past. They haven't seen each other for 3 years. They're rekindling this romance. You get the hint that they really liked one another, but Maverick fucked it up, and that's why the daughter at that one stage says like, "Don't break her heart again" and stuff like. Yeah.
Another solid laugh, but also a heartbreaking moment.
It was a laugh, and then you're like, oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah. So, no, I liked it because it made you, like, it took a moment, you know, when she starts talking, you quickly, as you're watching the film, you're like, oh, there's history there, and you start building that. Helps you get more on board quickly instead of, I think if they'd made the choice to introduce a new character, some younger girl, you know, as the poster, which they would have if they made this in the 80s, to be totally fair, that's something that's way different between now and if they made this sequel in the 80s, they would have just got some younger girl, like poster model. Yeah, it just for the sake of it. I appreciate that there's like an adult relationship here, you know, like more portrayed adult relationship, not just a romance.
How do we feel about the rest of the flight crew? Obviously, you got Glen Powell, Hangman. It's a list.
Look, he's the only one I'm going to remember, to be honest.
Monica Barrow as Phoenix. Lewis Pullman as Bob. I think those are the main three.
Yeah. Or it's the girl, Bob, Hangman.
Rooster.
The one that passed out.
Cody.
Rooster.
No.
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
That's it.
Sure.
That's how I would name it.
I mean, there's Fanboy and Payback, but like...
Yeah. But obviously Hangman's the Iceman equivalent.
It's crazy that apparently that role wasn't in the movie.
Yeah,
like,
apparently
Glen Powell
I was reading
up
that
for the same role as
Miles Teller's role, yeah.
And they're like, no, he's so good, we need to stick him in the movie. So
yeah, and
can't imagine him without him.
He plays the role perfectly. But much like Iceman in the first film, you sort of like hate him at first, but then like he's cocky, but in a different way, which is the funny thing. Like Iceman was a team player, like through and through, and Maverick was the solo one going off and all this sort of stuff. Whereas Hangman has a lot of characteristics similar to Iceman, and I even feel like his like the way he looks and like sort of gives those snide smiles is similar to Iceman, but he is the complete opposite in that he goes off and he's just like, I'm so good, I'll ditch my wingman.
Yeah. I think and I love his helmet. You know, the call sign, the Hangman, but with like it's actual Hangman and the missing A's.
Yeah.
So just a small clever touch. But yeah, they're all solid, and obviously they're all like flying, which is freaking crazy. They're actually flying those planes. I think it's when they're doing the sudden rise, I guess, when they're hitting the G's. And it's like that's when you can really tell that they're in those planes, because you can't act you can't act your face scrunching back.
I want to know. I can't wait to watch behind the scenes because, like, so they're on the plane. Where's the person flying it when they're doing that?
Definitely.
Because I don't think they're fully flying it, right?
They're flying it, as far as I'm aware.
Are they? I didn't know if they would be for all that stuff. I assumed Tom was, but like I know they're in the plane, but I kind of assumed for some of the more intense stuff, maybe they had someone else. Like they switched it so someone else was flying it from the back. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but yeah, or they could have just like, you know, faked some of the intense stuff, I guess. Yeah.
Look, if they're flying them at all points, fucking more power to them. I can't wait to watch the behind the scenes and find out what shots are what. And then there was like a featurette that came out on YouTube earlier today where there's one of like the actual like, you know, like an actual pilot in there, army dude or whatever, talking about Tom Cruise flying and saying he's like Tom Cruise does that really close to the ground shot, you know, like 300 feet above sort of thing. And even this dude saying he's never done anything like that and Tom Cruise is crazy. So like, like it's yeah.
I think Tom Cruise is crazy, a pretty safe sentiment to get across. Also you've got who was it? John Hamm as Vice Admiral Bo Cyclone Simpson. Chris Marnell as Rear Admiral Solomon Warlock Bates, who's a commander at the Naval Academy. But then also
Ed Harris.
Well, Ed Harris has a short cameo, pretty much mirroring the opening of Top Gun, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's almost a verbatim speech to when he was sent to Top Gun. But my, the silent MVP of this movie, Bashir Salahuddin as Chief Warrant Officer for Bernie Hondo Coleman, Tom Cruise's sidekick this entire movie.
Good.
you know.
The part where he catches the ball. By the way, no fucking volleyball.
No, I think we do that. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if they were hiding it, but
I think the other improvement here is there was a purpose for the football.
For the sport. Yes, that's the thing.
Yes, two that were like
actual reason
practicing
they're playing
tactics and working on the teamwork.
Yeah. Tom Cruise pulls him out to practice the teamwork. I'm like, yes, this actually makes sense now. But yeah, when he catches that ball there and then they all go for him, like, what a great moment. And then also the end part where he says, like, it's been honest. Where Tom Cruise, Maverick's like, if I don't see you again, like, you know, all that sort of stuff. Or even the right at the start where he's like, Maverick's pretending like, as Ed Harris comes in and stuff like that. He's like, oh, we have communication issues. Has anyone offered you a cup of tea yet?
Yeah, pretty fantastic. Yeah. Anything else feel like we need to discuss? I can't. I mean,
I was like, when the movie started, he had straight away had the dun, dun, like the theme, and then it kicked straight
the themes
into
throughout. Great music use.
Yeah,
What do we think?
Everything you loved about the music of the first film. It's like they just did it again. Like they didn't even try.
Okay, the two important things I've remembered. How do we feel about Lady Gaga's song at the end?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
it's not going to be super memorable. I don't think anyone is going to be thinking about it. But I think it's fine.
But
yeah, I think it's good. It's fine.
Yeah. Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
In this movie, surprisingly, given his medical condition. But yeah, even, you know, typing, he has a lot of gravitas and it's like really moving their conversation.
All in the face. All in the face.
All in the face.
On the face. And he delivers lines. I'm glad he gets to deliver lines too, because I feel like a lot of people still don't understand like what he went through and like where he's at as a like in recovery. So I feel like for anyone who's like doesn't look it up or watch that documentary and stuff, hearing him actually deliver lines and understand, you know, like he isn't on his deathbed, he isn't like incapable of talking. You know, I feel like it's good for him as an actor as well for him to be in a big movie like this, because he's been in other movies, but they're always been like fucking straight to DVD sort of esque releases over the last couple of years, but nothing as big as this. So yeah, it was really, really good to have him in this. I think they did justice to him and the character that was well loved from the first film, and he has a great scene, and yeah, both good for the character and for Val as an actor, I think.
Yeah, then he gets a send off, beautiful send off. So yeah, I guess this will be the question that's probably going to come up if this is very successful, which we assume it will be. Do we go to Top Gun 3?
No, fuck no, I hope not. This is magic in a bottle, and there's no reason, absolutely no reason to do another one. Yeah. You can't replicate this. That's the thing, like.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just leave it. It's fine. If you love this and you like the action, can I interest you in a franchise called Mission Impossible? And we can get excited for Dead Reckoning Part 1? Come on, like.
But what about fighter planes?
Who knows? There might be fighter planes in it. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I watched the teaser trailer. There's nearly everything else in it. Fucking horses, cars, bikes, like
swords,
jet plane. Just add something else. Why does it matter? Yeah. Sword fights? Yeah. Come on. Like, if added jet plane to that trailer, you'd be like, sure, why not? Like, at that stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we needed Top Gun 3. Tom Cruise doesn't seem like the type who'll just do a movie because
no, he doesn't need to.
It's been successful, so
it's fucking rich as fuck.
And I don't know if they'd be willing to risk doing what they did for this movie again, because it is kind of several miracles all running together, much like the movie, the plot of the movie. Yeah,
I mean, he's 60 now, right? So
yeah.
Or about to be 60. Either way, he's 60 this year, I think. So, he's getting old. Like,
I mean, you could, but they would have to move away from Tom Cruise. It would have to be the younger fighter pilots, like, hanging out or...
Yeah, and at that stage, does anyone care? No.
Maybe.
No.
I would watch a movie of just Hangman, like, being cocky for like 90 minutes.
I mean, he's doing other movies. Like, it's
yeah. It's going to be the question that people ask after, you know.
I just don't think like there's
any huge movie. Yeah.
It was 32 years or whatever. There's no need to rush out. And the first film was a massive box office success. And it took them 32 years or however long it was to make this one.
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
Yep.
We're good.
Yep. I also appreciate the end credit sequence where it's very much mirroring the original. And the dedication of Tony Scott. That was nice as well.
That was nice. It's old school credit sequence. I mean, it's like 80s credit sequence.
Yeah. Why not?
80s, 90s credit sequence. That's why I like the Scream 5 also had Scream had a like a 90s horror movie credit sequence. I love they're making a comeback this year. Watching these movies, all these like you go to credit sequence and you just have the people's faces and you know, like sometimes it's like outtakes of like someone who was playing a badass is like smiling or laughing, you know, like so it's one's like, oh guys, like and it sums up like their names. So, like I miss those. I've got 2 this year. Bring them back.
Bring back new credit sequences. Not just the Marvel stuff where it's like fancy.
Yeah, I want these credit sequences. Let's get rid of the after credits. They're done.
Okay. Let us know what you thought of Top Gun Maverick by going to explosion.com/Twitter. Let us know on Twitter or jump into Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review. Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or just tell people about the show or leave us 5 stars. Anywhere you can leave 5 stars. And if you really like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Someone's not coming back from this.
Those are your pilots. Anything happens to them.
Smoke in the air!
You will never forgive yourself.
No turning back now.
Come on! Jeez! Having any fun yet?